Breaking right now on Morning News Now, a big win for President Trump on Capitol Hill. Early this morning, Senate lawmakers passing a $70 billion bill to fund immigration enforcement without language banning the president's anti-weaponization fund. Plus, former Trump advisor John Bolton set to plead guilty in a classified documents case. We'll take you to Washington. Developing this morning, escalation and uncertainty in the Middle East. Iran-backed Hezbollah rejecting a deal to extend a ceasefire with Israel as Israeli forces launch a new round of attacks on Lebanon. Now, mounting concerns about the possibility of a peace deal between the U.S. and Iran. We'll bring you an update. Plus, alarming findings from an investigation into a horrifying collision involving a United Airlines flight landing at Newark Airport last month. What the plane's co-pilot reportedly told the NTSB about the moments before it happened. And feeling hot, hot, hot. That's right, temperatures on the rise for much of the country, with some cities on track to break records later today. We are tracking the conditions as you start your weekend. And there's a little bit of good news to start this Friday morning. We made it almost to the weekend. Thanks so much for being with us. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe is on assignment today. We're going to begin this hour with breaking news from Washington. So overnight, Senate Republicans passed their $70 billion immigration enforcement bill that would fund ICE and Border Patrol through the end of President Trump's term. After roughly 18 hours of voting, senators voted 52 to 47, with just one Republican, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, voting against it. The GOP faced several uphill battles in advancing this bill over the president's shifting priorities. Well, funding for his White House ballroom and language about that proposed anti-weaponization fund were major sticking points. NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba joins us now with more on this. Monica, good morning. Thanks for starting your Friday with us. This all happened in the dead of night. So walk us through what is and is not in this bill.
In the dead of night, Savannah, and after hours of debate with many lawmakers trying to attach amendments to this that ultimately failed. So really, this is just going to be immigration funding for ICE and for Border Patrol, about $70 million, as you stipulated. And what's really interesting about this is that this was the money that had to be taken out after we saw that debate over funding when there was the government shutdown that was extended. And then also, of course, after the immigration action that we saw that led to the death of 2 U.S. citizens in Minnesota. So they pulled this out of there, and this is how they attempted to pass that. But again, there were attempts to try to add other things to this, other provisions, other amendments, but all of that failed. So this is really just immigration funding that will last throughout the entirety now of President Trump's second term. Savannah.
Monica, so the Senate able to move forward with voting on this legislation after forcing the administration to abandon plans for, as we're just discussing here, this $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. But Democrats are worried that essentially that's not how this is going to pan out, that they won't stick to their word. Is there any language in this bill that did make it in there that would limit or prohibit future development of that fund? How will that work?
There isn't any right now. There were no guardrails that were attached to this, despite many different attempts, and despite the fact that you did see some Republicans joining this language that Democrats had introduced that would have tried to make this something that won't ever become a reality. But again, that was not successful, and so it's not a part of this legislation. And Democrats have raised concerns about that, and they've said that they want to be sure that this is not something that's going to continue. In fact, there was legislation that would have prohibited payouts to those who assaulted police officers or law enforcement on January 6th. Again, that failed. But it comes as there's a lot of mixed messaging, Savannah, even out of the administration, because the acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche, tried to sort of put a fine point on this, saying that they were not moving forward with the fund, that the Department of Justice was going to abandon it altogether. But it's President Trump who has sort of left a little bit of wiggle room, saying that he would abide by the courts, that he would need to check with the lawyers. But again, leaving that door just a little bit open.
Monica, what happens next with this bill?
So this would now have to go to the House in order to be passed and go to the president's desk for signature. But they are leaving town and they are not going to come back until next week. And so we expect that might happen as early as Monday night. It's possible the House could advance this. But we should note, Savannah, that the president had set a June 1st deadline for wanting to get this priority all wrapped up. So this pushes a little bit beyond that.
All right, Monica Alba, thank you so much. Well, former national security advisor and ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton, is expected to plead guilty to one count of retaining classified information. It is part of a plea deal with federal prosecutors. According to two sources familiar with the matter, he is accused of sharing confidential details about national security in an electronic diary with family members. This is the first major legal victory for President Trump and his quest to punish his perceived political enemies. Now, Bolton, who served for Mr. Trump during his first term in office, has been one of the president's fiercest critics. NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach joins us now with more. Gary, good morning. Great to have you with us. So let's just go back to the beginning and some of those details here. This electronic diary with family. Bolton was first arrested in October for allegedly mishandling that classified information. He pleaded not guilty then. So how did we get here? Why did he change his plea?
Yeah, of the political prosecutions that we've seen during this Trump administration, this is certainly one of the most serious and one of the most legitimate ones. We saw that John Bolton was indicted back in October by a grand jury, a federal grand jury in the state of Maryland on 8 counts of transmission of national defense information and 10 counts of unlawful retention of that national defense information. He was keeping the information on an electronic diary of sorts, potentially like a notes app in an iPhone. A source telling NBC News the reason he's doing this is because apparently, he says it's what leaders do and taking responsibility. And he says that he understands that if he went to trial, this would mean, which essentially would be the disclosure of many, many more classified documents that he would need to reveal. He's essentially doing this for the good of America, according to a source close to John Bolton.
Gary, Bolton's expected back in court at the end of the month. What kind of sentence is he facing?
So he pled not guilty back in October, so he will have to come back before a judge in Maryland at the end of the month and plead guilty. He could be facing anywhere from probation to up to 5 years in prison, and he also may have to pay up to $2.5 million in restitution to the federal government because of these alleged acts.
Considering Bolton and the president's tense, contentious history, their relationship, how is the White House responding to this plea change? Have we heard from the president on it?
It has been a real roller coaster for Donald Trump and John Bolton, to say the least, in terms of what their relationship has looked like over the past 10 years or so. The White House hasn't been commenting over the past 24 hours about this particular plea change, but the president is no fan at the moment of John Bolton. He called him a nasty guy back when he was first indicted in October, and certainly the White House is going to be pleased to see that this is actually one of their political prosecutions that is going in their way, the right way.
Mr. Trump's personal attorney, Todd Blanche, is poised to become the U.S. Attorney General. He's actually already been the acting head of the Justice Department since the president fired Pam Bondi. Do we think, given that information and the relationship there between the two, Gary, that we could see some more targeted investigations into these enemies while Mr. Trump's in office?
Yeah, it's really become a laundry list of people that they have been going after even to this point, right? You have James Comey, Letitia James, John Brennan, right? It's just the list goes on. And of course, that list can go on. And Todd Blanche, I think, would like to see it go on. But it all depends on what the federal grand juries do in these U.S. attorney districts around the country. If these U.S. attorneys go to the people and say, hey, this is what the charges that we think should be filed, it's up to grand juries to indict. And so it all matters what they think. And that's why we saw it in the Eastern District of Virginia with James Comey and Letitia James. That didn't work out all the time. And so it all depends on what these grand juries end up doing around the country. Savannah.
All right, Gary Grumbach, thank you very much. Well, now let's get to the latest in the war with Iran and the continued uncertainty over any potential of a deal between the U.S. and Iran. President Trump told reporters he'd be honored to meet with Iran's supreme leader if it meant a possible deal. This all comes as the leader of the Iran-backed Hezbollah militant group is rejecting the latest ceasefire agreement reached between Israel and the Lebanese government. New video shows smoke billowing earlier today in southern Lebanon following Israeli strikes reported by Lebanon's state news agency. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest in the Middle East from Tel Aviv.
Hopes that a new ceasefire deal in Lebanon would encourage a broader peace agreement in the Middle East, specifically one between the United States and Iran, are fading quickly this morning after that U.S.-brokered ceasefire didn't last a single day. Hezbollah formally rejected it, calling it a surrender agreement, and it was very unlikely to hold because Hezbollah and the Israeli government have very different understandings of what a ceasefire should mean between the two groups. According to the latest proposal, Hezbollah was supposed to stop fighting, put down its weapons, and leave southern Lebanon, moving north of the Litani River. Hezbollah said it couldn't accept those And Hezbollah says a real ceasefire, which it wants, should see Israeli troops leaving Lebanon altogether, which is something the Israelis have vowed not to do. So they are speaking past each other, and it is not a good sign for reaching a peace deal with Iran, because the Iranian Revolutionary Guard once again said that unless there's a deal in Lebanon, there will be no deal between Washington and the United States.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. Well, the weather is another big story this morning because summer heat is officially here for tens of millions of people. Temperatures, Bill, I know 10 to 20 degrees above the average. This is all over the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. We've got details now in our forecast with Bill Cairns. Hey, Bill.
Oh, good morning, and it's almost like a summer Friday. I mean, June is, in the meteorology world, we consider June, July, August summer, and it certainly is going to feel like it. The only issue this time of year is when the air is not moving much, we don't have much of a breeze and it's hot, we get ozone problems, so we get some pollution alerts, and we do have air quality alerts for numerous areas: Atlanta, upstate South Carolina, the Greensboro area, Fort Wayne, Cincinnati is also in this, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. So if you're one of those sensitive groups, this could be, you may notice it a little later this afternoon, or if you're looking towards the sky, you may see a little haze out there, and that's because of the pollution that's caused under this weather pattern. So this is warm, if not hot, but it's not humid, and you probably felt that yesterday. It's kind of, even this morning, it's really not that bad. It's not like a summer heat wave where you wake up in the morning and it's already stifling and you're already sweating when you walk outside. That's not the case today. Many areas are in the 50s and 60s, but we're jumping up into like the mid-90s, so it's going to be pretty extreme, the temperatures now, considering what you're going to see later on this afternoon. So we're going to call it 92 in D.C., 94 on Saturday. New York, right around 90 both days here. Philadelphia, very hot today. Richmond, same for you. And Raleigh, one of the hotter spots, mid-90s the next 2 days. But again, the humidity is bearable. As we head towards the end of the weekend, kind of back to normal, and then the next week it doesn't look any extreme. Temperatures from Raleigh go like 99, 95 to 90, Richmond 85, New York City back in the upper 80s, and that's kind of where we should be. So as far as the forecast goes, heading through the weekend, we'll be watching the worst weather, most likely East Texas, Central Texas into Louisiana, numerous rounds of showers and thunderstorms. So that's your Saturday. Isolated severe storms, too, from northern Indiana, northern Ohio, our friends from Cleveland heading up to Erie possible, even in southern tier of New York, the Binghamton areas, State College, Pennsylvania. Those are all stops. We could have some strong storms. On Sunday, we'll watch that chance of some strong storms and a flood risk here, especially areas of the southeast. I mean, we do have some bad weather out there this morning, Savannah. We always have bad weather somewhere in this large country of ours. If you're in Milwaukee, umbrella, rain boots, not going to be a fun morning for the kids at the bus stop, too. It is going to pour, even with some areas of lightning and thunder.
All right, Bill Cairns, a lot going on. Thank you so much. Well, Karen Reed has filed a lawsuit against the law enforcement agencies in Massachusetts that investigated her case 1 year after she was acquitted of murder and her police officer boyfriend's death. The lawsuit filing reveals a history of racist and sexist messages from two investigators in her case, which she claims led to false accusations. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda has the details and a warning: some of the language here is offensive.
A year after Karen Reed walked out of a Massachusetts court acquitted of murder.
I could not be standing here without these amazing supporters.
The 46-year-old is leveling her own bombshell allegations against the police departments that investigated her for her police officer boyfriend's 2022 death, unearthing decade-old vulgar voicemails that Reed's lawyers say demonstrate a culture of bias and corruption.
You want a filthy pig that you just do dirty things to. You don't want some, like, dope babe you get a wine and dine.
That was the case's eventual lead investigator, Michael Proctor, according to the complaint, who you can hear also used racial slurs describing a multi-car accident.
Take your time. I saw a was involved, so I wouldn't rush if you're working. Let them die.
While Proctor's attorney says years-old comments had no bearing whatsoever on the investigation, Reed's lawyers say they show an embedded culture of bigotry, misogyny, systemic failures, and institutional rot within Massachusetts State Police and Town of Canton Police, which they allege ultimately led to Reed being wrongly accused.
She was drunk, she hit him, and she left him to die.
The new lawsuit also lists a trove of disturbing texts from Proctor and Canton Police Sergeant Sean Good. Good allegedly calling the Boston mayor a little C word and writing the governor can suck my Good, who did not respond to our request for comment, resigned from his position this week, and Proctor was fired last year. Emily Ikeda, NBC News.
All right, well, this morning we are learning more about the frightening moments leading up to when a United plane collided with a light pole on the New Jersey Turnpike last month. The NTSB has released its early findings on the incident, reporting that the plane was flying too slow and far too low before landing. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has the details.
New NTSB photos show the deep gashes to the belly and tire of a United Airlines plane after hitting a light pole on the Jersey Turnpike while landing at Newark Airport last month. Dash cam and surveillance video capture the moment the pole crashed through the windshield of a tractor trailer. The driver suffered minor injuries. Now, a new NTSB report says as the plane was coming in for a landing in gusty winds, the first officer warned the veteran captain, "Hey, you are slow." Then moments later, "You're still slow and a little low." The captain told investigators he looked outside and "I thought we were low," but the warning came seconds before landing. That's when he heard a thump. Flight attendants reported a loud bang as the Boeing 767 crashed into a 15-foot pole.
They should not have been that low, no question about it.
On this graph, this line shows what the plane's descent slope should have been, while this red line shows its actual descent. Pilots on approach look to a runway's landing or PAPI lights like these. 2 white and 1 or 2 red mean they're lined up properly. But the NTSB reports the United crew would have seen 4 reds, a big warning they were too low.
If you see all red, it says that you're going to land and touch down before those lights, and that is not good.
United has said it's cooperating with the investigation and has told the NTSB it's reminded United pilots not to undershoot a runway. Back to you.
All right. Wow, Tom, thank you so much. Well, a Minnesota prosecutor now says that anti-ICE protesters who faced federal charges will not face any additional state charges. So this all stems from the anti-immigration enforcement demonstrations you probably remember, specifically when dozens of protesters interrupted a church service back in January. You might remember former CNN journalist Don Lemon was among the group. The protesters say they had learned that one of the church pastors was also an ICE official who was involved in the Minnesota operations. The U.S. Justice Department brought federal civil rights charges against 39 people for their church interruption in the wake of the Renee Good killing. The Minnesota prosecutor says there isn't enough current evidence to support adding state charges against them. Well, we have much more to come here on Morning News Now on this Friday morning. Later this hour, new developments in the search for a woman reported missing by her husband in the Bahamas. We'll tell you about the key piece of evidence just seized. Up first, though, after the break, Russian President Vladimir Putin set to take the world stage days after Ukraine intensifies its attacks. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to give remarks today at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. The event is referred to as Putin's Davos. It's been targeted by Ukraine, which launched hundreds of drones that hit an oil terminal, sending black smoke wafting over the city. In response, Putin says Russia will strengthen its air defenses. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons is there, and he has the latest details for us. Keir, good morning.
Good morning. President Putin and President Zelensky competing for attention this morning. Just hours before Putin gives a keynote speech here in St. Petersburg, Zelensky writing him a 2,000-word open letter in which he says war is the Russian leader's personal choice and suggests that his very existence would be threatened if he doesn't stop the conflict. This morning, President Putin is preparing for a major address in St. Petersburg, just days after the city was targeted by Ukrainian drones. Speaking this week, the Russian leader conceding he needs to strengthen the country's air defenses, but insisting Russia is gaining ground in Ukraine. In reality, the front lines remain all but frozen amid near-daily exchanges of drone strikes, this ambulance driver making a lucky escape in Ukraine. Ukraine's President Zelensky writing an open letter to Putin, repeating his call for a face-to-face meeting, saying it's time to end this war that has now lasted more than 4 years. President Trump responding to the overture.
I think it would be great if they met. They should.
But the Kremlin quickly demanding Zelensky should come to them. Putin believes when he met with Trump in Alaska last August, they agreed Ukraine would surrender territory in exchange for security. It's an offer Kyiv has publicly ruled out. In a rare interview, a Russian oligarch who is under sanctions says Russia is under great economic pressure, but surviving. Whoever tells you sanctions do not work is wrong. 77-year-old billionaire Vladimir Yevtushenkov says, I understand that sanctions will be lifted only when the armed confrontation comes to an end. This is a matter of time. Unfortunately, we may not live to see that time. President Putin is always surrounded by security. Just this morning, more drones targeted Moscow. And anyone in the audience for this address today has had to have a PCR test for COVID and flu. Inevitably, the information the Russian leader gets about the war also mostly comes from those who surround him. Guys?
All right, Keir, thank you so much. We've got more international headlines now. Chinese President Xi Jinping is set to make a rare visit to North Korea. NBC News international correspondent Molly Hunter joins us now to take us around the world in 60 seconds. Hi, Molly.
Savannah, good morning to you. I will do my best. And we are starting in North Korea, where Xi Jinping will make a visit to Pyongyang, his first in nearly 7 years. Both countries made the announcement this morning, and Xi will be making a full state visit next Monday and Tuesday. Moving to the Bahamas, the U.S. Coast Guard has seized the dinghy from local authorities in the Bahamas that Lynette Hooker's husband, Brian Hooker, claims she bounced off when she disappeared. This is according to a U.S. official familiar with the case. The dinghy will be brought back to Florida, and the Coast Guard says it is a key piece of evidence in this investigation into Lynette's disappearance, which is ongoing. And finally, some very cute baby animals to start your weekend. 4 endangered Sumatran tiger cubs made their big debut yesterday at an Indonesian zoo, marking another success in the country's endangered species conservation program. Savannah, they vamped for the press. They bounced around the pen. You can hear actually in the video all the click of cameras. They put on a very good show for the assembled press. Savannah?
Oh, my goodness. Well, they are super adorable, so I understand. Molly, thank you so much. Well, now we're going to stay with some international news and bring you this incredible story of survival on Mount Everest. A Sherpa guide missing for nearly a week has been found alive after rescuers spotted him crawling toward base camp. NBC News international correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer has the story.
A miracle on Mount Everest. A Sherpa guide found crawling back to base camp 6 days after he went missing. Dawa Sherpa seen here, moments after he was found. I fell from a ladder into a crevasse, he says. For 2 days and nights, I survived on ice. The 52-year-old seasoned guide was last seen around 23,600 feet, the so-called death zone, where conditions are harsh and oxygen too thin to sustain human survival. Search and rescue teams scoured the mountain for days before he appeared around the Khumbu icefall, frostbitten but alive, and swiftly airlifted from the mountain. At the hospital, his wife and daughter were overwhelmed. We asked for photos, and only then were we sure, she said. They had already started his funeral ritual, convinced he was gone. This climbing season, a busy one on the world's highest peak, after a massive chunk of ice blocked the route to the top. A record 274 people summiting Mount Everest in a single day last month, causing concerns about garbage and over-tourism. But this is also one for the history books, a remarkable story of survival. Janice Mackey-Frayer, NBC News, Beijing.
Just incredible. Coming up, growing concerns about the Ebola outbreak in Africa. When we come back, why some experts say it could be even worse than we realize. And I'll tell you the latest on the efforts to keep it out of the U.S. Stay with us. We are back with a look at the Ebola outbreak that's rapidly spreading across Central Africa and the global effort to contain it. The latest data from the CDC shows more than 300 confirmed cases across the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda, with more than 60 deaths. Some officials suspect the actual death toll, though, it might be more than double that number. It comes as health workers on the ground are dealing with challenges from dwindling supplies and the lack of any available vaccine to prevent the spread of this rare strain. Well, now the outbreak has reached a militia-controlled region that is too dangerous for health workers to access. For more on this, I am joined now by Dr. Samantha Nutt. She's the founder of the humanitarian relief organization War Child USA in Canada and a board-certified public health specialist. Dr. Nutt, good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Savannah. Thank you.
Incredible work that you're doing, and I think you have an understanding that a lot of us don't of the region and of exactly what's going on the ground. You spend a lot of time in this region, so tell us just how tough this is. What is it like on the ground right now? What are your staff telling you?
This is one of the most challenging areas of the world, especially because when you're talking about the Eastern Congo border, this is the epicenter of that conflict. So you have to deal with roving militia groups. Access to populations in need is very, very challenging. Frequent attacks on aid workers, on health facilities. In addition to that, it's a very migrant population. This is the heart of the mining industry within Eastern Congo. People coming and going all the time, not just within urban centers and back to their communities, but also across local borders, which is why we have seen spread, for example, to Uganda. So you're talking about a very displaced, very impoverished community as well, facing a significant number of militia groups, which is very, very challenging all around.
And I mentioned this rare strain. Tell us what it is that we're seeing, how it's different, and how that makes it difficult to treat.
Well, this isn't a strain that we've really seen much of in the past decades. So the usual amount of research that has gone into other Ebola strains around identifying vaccines and monoclonal antibodies, which is the treatment that we've been using in other outbreaks, these do not exist. In addition, the testing has not been terribly efficient in regards to this particular strain as well. So all of these are combining to mean that we have very few tools in the toolbox, except for the old school business of contact tracing, following up, making sure people are isolating and following procedures and protocols. But this is all happening against a backdrop of very few resources, very limited capacity in a country where the health infrastructure is already under strain.
And as you just referenced a moment ago, war-torn regions. How is it possible for healthcare workers like yourself, for volunteers, for people to even treat people at all, even reach them in areas like this? How do you work against that backdrop?
I mean, to be honest with you, it's absolutely brutal. You're talking about having to deal with militia groups where most of those who are in them are between the ages of 14 and 18 years of age. They are heavily armed. You have attacks on aid convoys. You have looting of supplies. You have attacks on hospitals, on doctors, on all of those who are necessary to be able to provide continuity of care and support and identify those cases and make sure that we are containing this particular epidemic. So it is as I said, one of the most challenging places in the world. On top of that, we're looking at dramatic cuts to humanitarian spending. USAID cuts, but also other governments throughout the world have followed suit. So the usual resources, networks, the infrastructure, the funding, the capacity that would exist under normal circumstances and that have existed during previous outbreaks simply is not there. And that is very frightening.
You talk about the spread within Africa. There's obviously a conversation and a concern going on. Does it spread beyond Africa? What do you say to that?
That risk is very low. Ebola is not a very efficient virus in the sense that it requires pretty sustained contact. It's not a respiratory virus. You can't get it from sitting next to somebody on a plane. You have to have an exchange of bodily fluids. You have to have close contact. So in that sense, it's not like COVID, we don't have that same degree of worry. But it is something we need to follow, and we need to really be addressing it at its source. And the challenge is that at its source, we are seeing more cases, and we are seeing an underfunded response that deserves and needs urgent international attention.
And let's talk about that, exactly what people could do to try to help. Somebody watching at home and knowing that the humanitarian response has been very difficult to deploy, what can someone do to help?
Well, the most important thing they can do is to actually invest in and donate to organizations that are involved in the region, not just in the Congo, but also in South Sudan and Uganda, other areas that have been affected. And in addition to this sort of acute phase and providing support to humanitarian organizations that are dealing with the front lines of this crisis. It's also important to remember there are a significant number of challenges facing this region stemming from ongoing poverty, violence, and instability, and addressing those over the long term, which is exactly the kind of work that War Child does throughout the world, reduces the vulnerability and reduces the overall global threat. We can't ignore conflicts and crises that are taking place, particularly in Africa. And especially, this is one of the worst conflicts that we have witnessed in the last couple of decades. More than 5 million people have lost their lives. It is not a coincidence that this is happening in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Those vulnerabilities are longstanding and entrenched, and we need to meaningfully address them over the long term.
Dr. Samantha Nutt, thank you so much. Fascinating conversation, really good information, and also about how we can all help. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Well, while some students are wrapping up their high school careers during this graduation season, others are getting ready to apply to college this coming fall, of course. While preparing for standardized tests can cost students hundreds, even thousands of dollars. For many, though, that is out of reach. One teenager in Tampa, though, has created an SAT prep app to help students for a fraction of the cost. The app, it uses AI. It already has tens of thousands of users. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch spoke with the creator, who is so young, he hasn't even taken the SAT himself yet.
For generations of high schoolers, getting ready for the daunting SAT meant cracking open hefty practice test books or time with tutors. Now, one Tampa, Florida teenager wants to give test takers a new path to success.
It can get really expensive. And then on top of that, the SAT, like the way you learn, right? It's not really a one-way thing for every single person.
According to a recent study by Private Prep, for comprehensive SAT prep, students typically spend 20 to 30 hours with a private tutor at a cost ranging from $1,600 to over $10,000. With those challenges in mind, 16-year-old Eric McDonald created ACEIT, a digital SAT prep app fueled by artificial intelligence that costs about $80 for a full year. There's also a free version.
And what ACEIT does is they serve them a bunch of questions, right? And then it sees where they struggle and where they succeed.
To see if ACEIT really works, we dusted off the graphing calculator and turned to someone who took the SAT almost 15 years ago.
I have a headache just looking at this.
First, I tried some College Board questions, focusing on the math section. Then we moved over to ACEIT. ACEIT also offers an AI chat features.
All right, areas to improve. Nonlinear functions, I would agree.
So you can ask for more explanation on questions you get wrong. But can you really trust an AI tutor designed by someone who still has not taken the SAT himself?
I wouldn't necessarily make it like their first kind of thing that they put all their effort into. And what ACEIT does is it kind of breaks that fourth wall. And you can use this whenever you want. You can use it on the subway station. You can use it walking home from school.
Some students, like McDonald's friend Matthew Gibbons, say they're using it and already seeing results.
Since my last PSAT, which I got a 1100 on, and after using ACEIT for a decent amount of time, I'm more up to like a 1400.
And Gibbons has no plans of abandoning the app anytime soon.
Can't really afford a tutor. I feel like even if I don't feel super confident on what the AI says, I can research about those question types, and it just gives me an idea of what to focus on.
The College Board did not comment specifically about ACEIT when NBC News reached out, but the organization said in part, providing world-class SAT practice at no cost is central to College Board's mission. The organization pointing to 5 specific ways.
My hesitation would be if it just contributes to this passive learning of guessing as you go along.
Anna Homayoun, founder of Lumen Area Learning Solutions, says at the end of the day, nothing beats taking a test.
The most effective way to prep for an exam like the SAT is to take full-length practice tests under testing conditions and go through every question you get wrong and understand why you got it wrong.
Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
Oh, I do not miss that period of life, right? Coming up on Morning News Now, a heartbreaking reality for student athletes across the country.
This is a side of just sports in general that is just not spoken about. And I really want to spread awareness about that so that there are not other kids that have to hurt in the same way that I did.
Up next, the push to stop schools from withdrawing recruitment offers to young athletes. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, it's no secret that the auto industry is rapidly changing. Gas prices are skyrocketing, and artificial intelligence is literally reinventing how we hit the road. Well, this morning in our series, Business in America, NBC News chief business correspondent Christine Romans sat down with Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors, to talk about what it takes to stay on top during these turbulent times.
In the world's largest automotive wind tunnel, decades of aerodynamic vehicle testing is shifting into the future. General Motors CEO Mary Barra says artificial intelligence is moving car design into the fast lane. Just a click, making small tweaks to the roof here with instant results.
We have an AI tool that allows us to do and estimate what the aero is going to be on a concept, really dial it in. And then when we get the design, then we take it into the actual wind tunnel and do the final work.
Barra is a 46-year veteran of GM. At 18, she started as a quality inspector. She rose to chair and CEO, a position she's held for 12 years. She's the only woman to lead a major global car company.
To dream, to design, to style for you.
Celebrating its 70th anniversary, GM's Design Center sits just outside Detroit.
This is where we literally design what the vehicle is going to look like inside and outside.
Here, old school clay modeling side by side with modern machines, and sketches from automotive artists transformed using AI prompts for a realistic rendering of a new Corvette, even envisioning it on the road.
This is something that used to take weeks and now is being done in minutes. And what that helps
from weeks to minutes.
Weeks to minutes. It allows us to explore more concept, more ideas to make sure we get the right one.
Is AI going to allow you to make cars with fewer people, do you think?
I think it's how we give the tools to the people to be able to do better work. And to me, it's how do we do more with the people that we have because we're using AI tools.
She says higher gas prices aren't denting demand. The GM is squarely focused on affordability with 6 models starting at $30,000 or less, including its all-electric Bolt, a price on par with Chinese EVs from manufacturers like BYD. Tom Yamas recently drove one of those cars while reporting in China.
If you could buy this car in America, how much would it cost?
So $25,000 here, you add about $10,000, $35,000, still a pretty good deal.
But Barra is among American auto execs saying that deal shouldn't be an option in the U.S., citing unfair Chinese government subsidies and the connected technology that could lead to spying on Americans.
General Motors needs to have a level playing field, and then we need to compete.
Yeah.
I think we have to look at it and the jobs that are provided from an economy perspective, and then also look at it from a national security perspective.
What would the level playing field look like for you?
Equivalent tariffs and not being subsidized.
In an industry changing faster than ever, Barra says GM is poised to win.
I'm confident that we can compete, and we're working every day to continue to make our business more efficient so we can give the customer more.
After more than 4 decades with GM, Barra still excited for the road ahead. Christine Romans, NBC News, Warren, Michigan.
Well, playing sports in college is a dream for many student athletes, but it's also a big business, and recruiting rules can be unclear, differing from school to school and sport to sport. Young players rely on commitments to secure those competitive roster spots. But what happens when the school decides to withdraw its offer? NBC News Now anchor Vicki Wynn has more on what students and families need to know about this potentially heartbreaking reality.
Menlo High School senior Ava Wang discovered her love of volleyball in 5th grade.
Like the second I touched the ball, I was just like, this is the sport for me.
By middle school, she was training up to 20 hours a week, gaining national attention. Ava's dream of playing for the University of Pennsylvania came true early. The summer after sophomore year, UPenn coaches asked for a meeting with Ava and her mom.
They told me, we really love to have Ava in our team, and I could see the glow in her eyes. She was so excited.
It was the best day of our lives.
Ava says the verbal offer was clear. She was expected to apply to Penn, maintain her academics, and stop talking to other schools.
Did you hold up your end of the bargain?
Absolutely.
But a year later, the coach who recruited Ava left. Shortly after, the new coach told her she lost her spot because she didn't meet the academic standards, something Ava and her parents dispute, saying the school assured her multiple times that her coursework and grades were on track for admissions. Ava had been decommitted, meaning that verbal offer no longer stood.
The hardest part is watching our once brave, powerful, strong, confident daughter just spiral into this black hole and doubt everything about herself.
Penn declined to be interviewed, citing student privacy, but said in a statement Penn Athletics is committed to recruiting highly qualified and athletically gifted student athletes.
Decommitting has happened for decades.
Ramogi Huma is an advocate for college athletes.
Why do schools do this?
They do it for typically two reasons. One is schools often offer more opportunities and scholarships than they have to give. The other is that a school changes their mind, and the system is not like this on accident. It's been designed this way. It gives schools the maximum leverage.
No agency tracks how many student athletes get decommitted by schools each year, but some are sharing their stories online.
Sometimes they will ghost you, and it's not fair. It's not nice, but it does happen.
Didn't call them, didn't even text them. Just sent an email saying thanks, but no thanks.
When somebody says to an athlete, trust me or trust us, you absolutely shouldn't do that.
Darren Heitner is a sports attorney who advises athletes and families.
Does a verbal agreement have any legal standing?
A verbal agreement means absolutely nothing in most contexts, including in college sports.
Adding to the hurt for Ava, Penn decommitted her after the summer recruiting window, leaving her in limbo.
Just seeing that doors were just continuing to close with this dream that I had was really gut-wrenching.
Did it feel cruel to you, the way it was handled?
Extremely cruel, because you're putting a senior who is just really excited to come to your campus, play for you, and suddenly, she doesn't have a home anymore.
Huma says there is one thing student athletes should do when they receive a verbal offer: respond with an email.
Say thank you for the offer, and I'm happy to accept. I'm excited. It may not be exactly a legal solution or silver bullet, but there's something there.
As for Ava, a silver lining. She's continuing her volleyball career at Columbia University, joining the team this fall.
This is a side of just sports in general that is just not spoken about. And I really want to spread awareness about that so that there are not other kids that have to hurt in the same way that I did.
Vicki, thanks so much for that report. College sports experts say there's very little incentive for schools to change the system, but they recommend talking with a lawyer and keeping your options open until you have that offer in writing. Well, now I've got a fun one for you. For decades, the Muppets, of course, have been a staple in households across America. Well, now people can get an inside look at what's behind their on-screen magic. For the first time, Jim Henson's Creature Shop right here in New York City is inviting people to see how these iconic puppets are created. Gus Rosendale from NBC New York takes us along on a tour.
Looking at the Muppets in a whole new way.
Grouch eyes, just changing character, just doing that. It's the sympathetic angle that we usually do for a friendly character.
Jim Henson's Creature Shop in Long Island City, off limits to the public. Until now.
This is the Puppet Lounge.
Public tours begin in the lounge, where visitors can get a sort of friendly welcome from Oscar the Grouch.
Hello there. How are you?
And get a first-hand lesson in puppeteering.
Now we're in the workshop.
Wow.
Visitors then head to the workshop itself, where cameras are usually not allowed. A lucky exception made for us.
Little cuties. They're tap dancing rats. We gave them each a little kind of slightly different personality.
This is where Muppets truly come to life. A true team effort creates every custom creation from scratch.
I am stitching the arm rods down into the feet of the rat so that they can dance.
I am adding a little bit of black trim to this fabulous little outfit.
I built a gingerbread man puppet.
Those characters are love and business.
It's been one way for us to share with the general public the talents that are here in this workshop.
Real Henson fans could combine a trip here to a trip to the Museum of the Moving Image over in Astoria. They've got 500 Henson artifacts there, but of course, there's nothing quite like this experience. The Saturday workshop tours cost $150 per person, which helps cover the expense of bringing in staff for a unique experience that runs 80 minutes. Tickets are selling online.
So you could hang out here and, kind of imagine that this is where you work. Horsehair tubing.
He was able to create a team around him that was just, as I said, the best of the best.
And devoted.
And very devoted to him and his vision. And that's one of the things I absolutely admired about him.
A look at the ever-changing projects in the Creature Workshop and a lasting tribute to Jim Henson's legacy.
Anytime he came to the shop, he was always encouraging, always kind. Even if they're, making fun of something, right. It's from a place of love, from a place of kindness.
Oh, what a neat look. Our thanks to Gus Rosendale for that report. Well, coming up, Grand Slam shockers. Some of the biggest names in tennis out of the French Open after an unprecedented series of upsets. We're going to get the highlights, and we'll tell you the underdogs to watch as the final weekend of the tournament gets underway. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now. We are now back with a Grand Slam tournament that has stunned tennis fans across the world. There's been this unprecedented run of upsets at the French Open in Paris this year. It's turned out to be a huge year for underdogs at the tournament. Many of the biggest names in tennis have been knocked out in the early rounds, really something no one could have predicted. Well, now that the stage is set for an exciting final weekend on the iconic Roland Garros clay courts, we've got the latest for you. For more on this big weekend, let's bring in staff writer at The Athletic, Lucas Weiss. Lucas, good morning. Great to have you with us, as always. So usually at this point, we're talking about like Novak Djokovic or Jannik Sinner. We're not this year. I mean, how surprising is it to have a Final Four like this?
Well, Savannah, thanks for having me on. This is like the NCAA tournament happening in Paris. Just so many upsets. And look, tennis fans have been blessed with consistent dominance on both the men's and women's sides. Of course, the big three in the men's dominated Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and then on the women's side, Serena Williams. But now, on both sides, come the semifinals, there were no slam winners. So definitely very unexpected. But I think it's quite exciting that for one of these slams, we have all these upsets happen. And for these players remaining, it is a life-changing opportunity for them as they try to win their first single slam. Not since the 2021 U.S. Open, Savannah, have we had first-time winners on both the men's and women's side. So it's going to be an exciting weekend to see who lifts the championship trophies.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about who we've got. Alexander Zverev, he's the highest-ranked player left in the men's draw at number 2, but he's yet to win a Grand Slam title in his career. Do you think this is finally his time? And if not, who else could you see winning?
He's certainly the favorite, as you said, but like when he plays these slam finals, he's been in 3 of them. He has crumbled under the pressure. Now, there isn't a Jannik Sinner, there isn't a Carlos Alcaraz left, but I actually think his semifinal opponent next, Jakub Mensik, could provide the most difficulty. Mensik is someone who has a big serve. He has experience playing in big matches. He won the Miami Open, and he also shows some creativity at the net, as we saw in the quarterfinal match against Joao Fonseca. So look out for Mensik to potentially cause an upset today in the semifinal against Zverev. But Zverev is looking awfully good, and I would not be shocked if he wins the French Open.
All right. Okay, now let's talk women's side. There were also several surprising upsets there. The final scheduled for tomorrow. There is an exciting matchup on deck, but I want you to walk us through it. I know Mira Andreeva will be the favorite, but how do you see that match playing out?
Look, 2 players trying to win their first slam title. There is going to be nerves. Of course, Andreeva has won a WTA 1000 title in her career, but she's never won a slam title before. And she's facing Maja Folinska of Poland, who is just on an unbelievable run, Savannah. She came into this tournament 114th in the world. She's never won a singles title before. Now she's trying to win her first slam title. She's going to be playing with nothing to lose as she tries to win her first slam. Andreeva might be the favorite, but we've seen Andreeva sometimes the crowd go against her. She's still a very young player, so mentally it's going to be very fascinating to see how she navigates the ups and downs of this match. So it should be very fascinating to see a first-time slam winner on the women's side.
And quickly, we do have an American to talk about. Taylor Townsend will be featured in the doubles semifinals today. She's already won 4 doubles titles. What do you think? Is she going to add a 5th?
She has a good chance. I mean, her and Siniakova are the best doubles team in the world, but she's facing Canadian Gabriela Dabrowski, who beat her last year at the U.S. Open women's doubles final. So very difficult match, but if this pair were to get to the final, I think they have a very good chance to win another doubles title. Look, Taylor Townsend, so fun on the court, off the court, but in doubles, she's one of the best. So definitely a very good chance for her to win in Roland Garros.
Excited for her. Lucas Weiss, thank you so much. Great to see you. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thank you for starting your Friday with us. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe's on assignment today. Right now on Morning News Now, new setback. The potential for peace in the Middle East is once again in doubt this morning after Lebanon was targeted by new Israeli strikes overnight. It comes after President Trump continued to insist progress is being made to end the conflict, even saying he's open to meeting with Iran's new supreme leader as the U.S. war there drags on.
I don't want to meet, but if I did meet, I'd be honored to meet him. I'd like to see if we make a deal. But if we make a deal, it's possible that I would meet him. I'd be okay with that.
We'll have more on all that in a moment, plus details on a new construction project the president is eyeing as he continues to make over the nation's capital. Fighting back 1 year after she was found not guilty of murdering her police officer boyfriend, Karen Reed is suing the police agencies that investigated his death. In a lawsuit, she accuses Massachusetts State Police and Canton Police of misconduct and negligence. We will hear directly from Reed, who's speaking out this morning in a new interview with NBC. We're getting our latest snapshot of the economy this morning with the May jobs report out today as Wall Street keeps a close eye on the labor market. Later this hour, we will break down the newest data and look at where we are seeing job growth as the summer season kicks off. And it's finally Friday. We will bring you our weekly can't miss list. Everything from the return of the Scary Movie franchise and Masters of the Universe to a new Jennifer Lopez rom-com, even new music from Taylor Swift. All the details are ahead. You know, I am very excited about that new song from Taylor Swift. And thank you again for starting your Friday with us. We are going to begin this hour in the Middle East with the apparent collapse of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Lebanon. Overnight, new Israeli strikes on Lebanon killed at least 4 people, according to local authorities. Those strikes came after Hezbollah rejected the latest ceasefire agreement. President Trump continues to say he believes progress is being made by both sides despite this latest attack. The president also told reporters he would, quote, be honored to meet the new supreme leader of Iran if a deal is close, as you just heard there. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is tracking all the latest developments. He joins us from Tel Aviv with the latest. Richard, good morning.
Good morning. So hopes that a ceasefire deal in Lebanon would lead to a wider deal that could calm things down here in the Middle East, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, are fading when that Lebanon deal fell apart as soon as it began.
The latest U.S. brokered ceasefire in Lebanon didn't last a day, with columns of smoke rising from Tyre in South Lebanon from new Israeli strikes. It's a setback to President Trump's efforts to achieve a peace deal in the region. Trump remaining optimistic yesterday.
I think progress is made. That's been going on for a long time.
The Iranian-backed militia Hezbollah rejected the new ceasefire, calling it a surrender. The deal was unlikely to ever work. Israel agreed to stop shooting if Hezbollah stopped fighting and left southern Lebanon. Hezbollah says it will stop fighting if Israeli troops pull out of Lebanon, which Israel says it won't do. It's a bad sign for a deal with Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz, end the war, and lower gas prices. Iran's Revolutionary Guard yesterday repeated its position that no peace deal in Lebanon means no peace deal with Iran. President Trump says Iran will make concessions.
As far as Iran's concerned, you're going to find out what the deal is. But the main parts of the deal is that it can't have a nuclear weapon.
And Trump said he might escalate the war against Iran if more American troops are killed.
We're going to see if we're going to win one way or the other. We're going to win on paper or we're going to win military.
And Iran is again proposing a way to open the Strait of Hormuz under the system that Iran is suggesting. Iran itself would have a significant amount of control over the strait. It would be managed by regional countries, specifically Oman. It is a framework the Trump administration has previously rejected. Savannah.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. Well, we have breaking news this morning from Capitol Hill. Overnight, Senate Republicans advanced their $70 billion immigration enforcement bill after an 18-hour vote-a-rama. It comes after several delays in moving the bill forward, including bipartisan backlash over that controversial anti-weaponization fund. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Garrett Haake joins us now from the White House with the details here. Hi, Garrett. Good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Republicans finally managed to muscle this bill through the Senate overnight after weeks of work and some significant pushback to some of the president's personal projects, including $1 billion for security for the White House ballroom, which ended up on the cutting room floor. Now this legislation will head back to the House, which should send it to the president's desk within a matter of weeks, all while the president himself is focusing on construction projects here in D.C., including a major new one. Just hours ago, a key vote in Washington.
This bill, as amended, is passed.
After an all-night session on Capitol Hill, Senate Republicans narrowly passing a bill to back President Trump's immigration agenda, funding ICE and Border Patrol for the rest of his term.
They're great. ICE, Border Patrol, they're very, they're patriots.
All Democrats and one Republican voting against it. The debate has caused a partial shutdown for months in Washington. Democrats criticizing recent ICE controversies, including the deaths of 2 protesters, amid Trump's aggressive immigration crackdown.
Instead of shooting Americans dead in the street, the federal government could cut a $1,300 check to every household in America.
And while the bill is a victory for the president, Senate Republicans pushed back on some of his priorities, including a $1.8 billion fund for allies he claims have been targeted by the government, and a request for $1 billion in security upgrades for his White House ballroom. Trump has demolished the east wing of the White House to build the ballroom, part of his push to remake the nation's capital, unveiling another major construction project on Thursday, a planned pedestrian bridge he says will stretch from the Lincoln Memorial to the Potomac River.
They want to call it the Trump Promenade, but I don't know if I want to do that. But it's going to be beautiful. It's a beautiful project.
The president also posting that renovations to the nearby reflecting pool are, quote, rounding the final turn. But there's growing controversy about another project, that so-called Triumphal Arch, a 250-foot structure between Arlington National Cemetery and the Lincoln Memorial, which it would tower above. The National Capital Planning Commission, made up largely of presidential allies, advancing the arch plan, even as members heard an outpouring of fierce criticism from the public.
No one needs this arch. It's inappropriate, unnecessary, insulting.
And despite all that, while the Arch project appears to be moving forward, the president's effort to rename the Kennedy Center after himself now appears truly all but over. The center's lawyers yesterday directed staff there to remove the Trump name from all their signage, their websites, even their email signatures. And that big Donald J. Trump name in gold letters must also be removed from the center's exterior wall by next Friday to comply with the judge's order. Savannah?
All right, Garrett, thank you. Well, now it is time to get you your weekend forecast. It is going to be a hot one with temperatures possibly up to 20 degrees above average from the Great Lakes to the Northeast. We've got Bill Cairns with us this morning with our Morning News Now weather. Hello, Bill. Good morning.
Good morning. Beach weekend for so many. We're not doing a good job of sharing either. The areas that are hot are going to stay hot most of the weekend, and the areas that are getting the thunderstorms are going to have repeated rounds of storms. And we had big storms last night, and some of them are still rolling this morning. Milwaukee, not pretty. Some heavy rain moving through northern portions of Iowa, southern portions of Iowa, northern portions of Missouri, and this is going to slide into Illinois. This should weaken a little bit, but some of this is going to try to make its way towards Chicago, too. So we'll keep an eye on that. As far as flash flooding goes, yesterday we had a little bit. We have a couple areas to watch just north of Kansas City, St. Joseph here, southern Iowa, and then a huge section of Texas. We're going to get isolated, slow-moving downpours later today, so we could have some problems with that. The most concentrated, heavier rains will be in between Dallas and Oklahoma City and also there near Kansas City. We still have severe weather. June is a pretty big severe weather month. Usually the tornado threat begins to diminish. We get a lot of wind damage reports and also hail, and that'll be the case today. Not so many tornadoes, but this section from Omaha to Des Moines, just into the Burlington area, this is north of Kansas City, north of Interstate 70 here. This is where we could see isolated strong storms to a large hail. As we go through tomorrow, cold front's going to be coming down. We have that hot air mass in place, and a lot of people are going to have a chance for some isolated strong thunderstorms. Again, tornado risk is low, but Pittsburgh, Erie, Cleveland, southern tier of New York, right through central Pennsylvania, up the Hudson Valley from Albany. Looks like New York City should be okay, but northwards up towards Hartford, isolated strong storms. That's your Saturday, and it'll be late, too. Most of it will be in late afternoon, early evening. So there's that storm threat there. Very hot. Some areas could come close to 100 in the mid-Atlantic region as we go throughout your Saturday afternoon. And then we're going to continue to plague with storms. The Dallas area, Oklahoma City. Much of the west is pretty dry, but the Pacific Northwest kind of cool. cool. By the time we get to your Sunday, isolated strong storms in the Carolinas. Still kind of wet and soggy here from areas in Missouri down south to Arkansas, maybe even in Dallas, too. It's a decent Sunday from D.C. to New York, but watch out around Boston for some afternoon showers and storms. Overall, Savannah, I think I'd give this weekend like maybe a B+, A-. If you're going to get a 90 to 95, you want the low humidity, and that's what we have in the East. It's very rare. We don't get heat waves like this.
Right. Wow. All right. I'll take
Arizona
it.
weather.
A-, baby. Okay. Thanks, Bill. Well, Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to deliver a speech today at a flagship annual economic forum in St. Petersburg. Putin's highly anticipated remarks come days after drone strikes by Ukraine struck an oil terminal in that city. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons has the latest for us from St. Petersburg. Keir, good morning.
Good morning. President Putin and President Zelensky competing for attention this morning, just hours before Putin gives a keynote speech here in St. Petersburg. Zelensky writing him a 2,000-word open letter in which he says war is the Russian leader's personal choice and suggests that his very existence would be threatened if he doesn't stop the conflict. This morning, President Putin is preparing for a major address in St. Petersburg, just days after the city was targeted by Ukrainian drones. Speaking this week, the Russian leader conceding he needs to strengthen the country's air defenses, but insisting Russia is gaining ground in Ukraine. In reality, the front lines remain all but frozen amid near daily exchanges of drone strikes. This ambulance driver making a lucky escape in Ukraine. Ukraine's President Zelensky writing an open letter to Putin, repeating his call for a face-to-face meeting, saying it's time to end this war that has now lasted more than 4 years. President Trump responding to the overture.
I think it would be great if they met. They should.
But the Kremlin quickly demanding Zelensky should come to them. Putin believes when he met with Trump in Alaska last August, they agreed Ukraine would surrender territory in exchange for security. It's an offer Kyiv has publicly ruled out. In a rare interview, a Russian oligarch who is under sanctions says Russia is under great economic pressure, but surviving. Whoever tells you sanctions do not work is wrong. 77-year-old billionaire Vladimir Yevtushenkov says, I understand that sanctions will be lifted only when the armed confrontation comes to an end. This is a matter of time. Unfortunately, we may not live to see that time. President Putin is always surrounded by security. Just this morning, more drones targeted Moscow. And anyone in the audience for this address today has had to have a PCR test for COVID and flu. Inevitably, the information the Russian leader gets about the war also mostly comes from those who surround him. Guys?
All right, Keir, thank you so much. Well, there is shock and sadness in Hollywood this morning after authorities say longtime actor James Handy was stabbed to death by his girlfriend's son. The LA Police Department said that suspect Michael Gledhill flagged down police officers after a 911 call was made early Wednesday morning that reported a killing. Police said when officers arrived, Gledhill claimed he was the one they were looking for. He now faces a murder charge and was still in custody last night, according to online jail records. Handy, who was 81 years old, was found unconscious in the front yard of a home with a stab wound in his chest, police said. He had most recently appeared in the blockbuster Top Gun Maverick, but he had dozens of other movie and TV roles, including in Arachnophobia and Jumanji. This morning, we are learning that the co-pilot of a United Airlines flight warned the captain that he was too low and too slow while landing at Newark Airport last month. It was just before the plane hit a light pole on the New Jersey Turnpike, which then crashed onto a delivery truck. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello covers aviation. He joins us now with the latest on this incident. Tom, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. So this was the end of a long flight in an older 767. The wind was gusting, their airspeed was up, and then it was down as they aimed for runway 29 right over the Jersey Turnpike. It sounded and felt like an explosion to the driver of a tractor-trailer on the Jersey Turnpike. But the United plane flying overhead had hit a 15-foot light pole that then came crashing down on the truck. The driver suffering minor injuries.
If this airplane would have been a little bit lower and hit a large bus or something like that, well, then there could have been additional injuries and fatalities.
Now, a preliminary NTSB report says as the plane was coming in for a landing in gusty winds, the first officer warned the veteran captain, "Hey, you are slow." Then moments later, "You're still slow and a little low." The captain told investigators he looked outside and "I thought we were low," but the warning came seconds before landing. That's when he heard a thump. Flight attendants reported a loud bang. New NTSB photos show the deep gash to the belly of the plane and the tire. No one on the plane was injured. The day after the accident, Transportation Secretary Duffy speculated the gusty winds may have played a role.
Obviously, there was issues with a couple of vehicles on the roadway. And what could have happened is there was gusty winds.
On this graph, the line shows what the plane's descent slope should have been, while the red line shows its actual descent. Pilots on approach look to a runway's red and white landing, or PAPI lights, like these.
So you want 2 reds over 2 white. You're all right, is how that poem goes. So it's red over red, you're dead. White over white, you're too high.
The NTSB report says the United crew would have seen 4 reds. Thankfully, the plane and everyone on board landed safely.
So they had 4 reds. And again, the poem is 4 reds and you're dead. Runway 29 is known as a shorter runway at Newark, and the report suggests the pilot was trying to give himself as much runway as possible on that landing. The NTSB says United has since reminded its pilots, do not undershoot the runway, aim for the target landing zone. Savannah?
All right, Tom, thank you so much. Well, plans backed by President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner for a luxury resort in Albania are now leading to protests in the country. Albanian government officials say the project would boost the economy there. But as NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez explains, critics are calling out environmental concerns.
Across Albania, days of mass protests, with police turning the water cannon on demonstrators filling the streets of the capital. Their anger sparked by plans for a vast luxury resort being developed by Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump.
I'm working on an incredible project with my husband in the Mediterranean. It's massive in scale.
President Trump's son-in-law has said the plan could include 10,000 villa and hotel rooms, releasing these images of his vision. But the resort, spread across this island and parts of the neighboring coastline, means construction in one of Albania's most environmentally sensitive areas. The Vjosa Narta Delta is famous for its wildlife, a stopping point for migratory birds, and the country's only breeding ground for flamingos, which have now become a symbol for the demonstrators, who fear the Kushner plan will lead to environmental devastation.
From the renders that we have seen, everything seems terrible.
Yoni Vorpsi is an environmentalist and part of the effort to stop the resort.
So you're worried that fragile ecosystem will be disrupted?
Yeah, it will be completely destroyed. Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump are in a very comfortable place, I would say, very far from the catastrophe that they are motivating and creating.
Kushner's investment firm, Affinity Partners, did not respond to a request for comment. But in a podcast interview this week, Ivanka Trump promoting the project.
It's an unbelievable, beautiful 1,400-hectare private island in the middle of the Mediterranean.
That interview drawing mockery from The Daily Show.
Oh, I'm sorry, do you guys not have hectare money?
Kushner had planned another major development in Serbia, but pulled out of the project last year in the face of widespread opposition there. Protesters in nearby Albania hoping their efforts will lead to the same result. Raf Sanchez, NBC News.
We've got much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, the May jobs report is out, giving us an update on the shape of the labor market. We will break down those numbers. Up first, though, a new bombshell lawsuit by the woman acquitted in the murder of her Boston police officer boyfriend is targeting the agencies who investigated her. Hear what Karen Reed has to say in a brand new interview. That is next. We're back with an update in a legal saga that captured the nation's attention. 1 year ago, a jury acquitted Karen Reed of the murder of her police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe. Now, Reed is filing a sweeping lawsuit of her own. She's accusing the Massachusetts State Police and the Canton Police of creating and tolerating a culture of bias and corruption for years. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett explains. Laura?
Hey there, just 1 year ago, a jury acquitted Karen Reed in the murder of her police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe. Now, she's filed a sweeping new lawsuit accusing Massachusetts State Police and Canton Police of creating and tolerating a culture of bias and corruption for years. A warning for you, some of the language you are about to hear is disturbing and offensive.
Nearly 1 year after Karen Reed walked out of court a free woman, she's waging her own legal battle this morning against the police departments she says framed her for the murder of her boyfriend, police officer John O'Keefe.
You know what you did. You know what you've done.
The 46-year-old filing a scathing new civil suit against Massachusetts State Police and the town of Canton, laying out a litany of racist messages her attorneys say were exchanged between the lead investigator on Reed's case, Michael Proctor, and former Canton Police Sergeant Sean Good.
Take your time. I saw was involved, so I wouldn't rush if you're working. Let them die.
Most of the messages unrelated to Reed, but according to the complaint, their crude nature expose a culture of bias and corruption.
You are a filthy pig that you just do dirty things to.
Reed's history with Proctor and others in law enforcement stretching back years.
She's a whack job.
Her attorneys have long maintained, but have yet to prove, that O'Keefe was killed at a house party after a night of heavy drinking with fellow officers back in 2022, who then tried to cover it up by falsely accusing Reed of hitting O'Keefe with her SUV, leaving him to die in the snow.
This case should be over right now. Done. Because there was no collision.
A jury ultimately acquitted Reed last summer of second-degree murder after her first trial ended with a hung jury. Proctor, meanwhile, was fired for his misconduct, his lawyer dismissing the newly revealed messages from his personal life as having no bearing whatsoever on the investigation of Karen Reed. Sergeant Good also off the force, resigning this week after he was placed on leave for alleged misconduct. It's unclear if that leave was connected to Reed. But Massachusetts State Police call their messages, quote, abhorrent, adding in a statement they do not reflect the agency's values. Yet the allegations of police corruption at the heart of Reed's defense struck a chord for many of her supporters, who often gathered outside the courthouse, with many more following online.
Never in my entire life have I been more invested in a court case.
Even an auction of her SUV attracting intense interest until it was sold. It all comes as the former financial analyst fends off other legal woes, including a wrongful death lawsuit brought by the O'Keefe family. But Karen Reed has vowed to keep fighting to vindicate her innocence.
There's more evidence, and there's more of a story to tell.
NBC News reached out to Sean Good but has not heard back. The town of Canton, meantime, says it refutes any broad stroke characterizations about the people who serve in that department. Back to you.
All right, Laura, thank you so much. Well, Karen Reed joined the Today Show earlier this morning to talk about her experience since she was acquitted and why she's filing this lawsuit now. She was also joined by two of her attorneys, Alan Jackson and Charles Waters. Here's some of that conversation.
We really haven't heard from you much and seen you really at all since the jury's not guilty verdict. First, just why file this lawsuit now? You already have one lawsuit in the queue. Why do this now?
This was always our plan, that I had to save my own life first. I can't do anything if I'm not free. And I had to fight for my freedom for years. And I knew as it unfolded, I was never going to be able to just forget that this happened to me, that I was wronged in this way. I couldn't just go back to life as it was. I have to continue fighting for justice. The acquittal is deserved, but the wrongs have not been completely righted. They've been happening along the way, but I always knew this was going to happen if I could get the help legally to do this.
Let's talk about that for a moment, Alan, because again, as we just saw in Laura's story there, Sergeant Good's been fired, right. Lieutenant Proctor fired. They're both gone. The departments have said that there was wrongdoing. They've admitted that. from a legal standpoint, what do you precisely want to see happen here that has not already happened?
Well, it's a civil case. So the remedy is the law speaks in dollars, but that's not what the ultimate goal is here. The ultimate goal is to ensure that we bring to the light the institutional biases, the institutional corruption that permeates the Massachusetts law enforcement system. That's what this lawsuit's going to do, ultimately. What Karen wants, you cannot write on a check, which is exposure. Exposure of the corruption that is the DNA of the Massachusetts State Police, of the Canton Police Department, which is evidenced by these two individuals in their text messages. They were in a position where they felt comfortable within their own family, the family of law enforcement, to send these vile text messages, to send these vile voicemails that are reflective of a deeper problem in the culture. That's what we want to expose.
But to be clear, we're seeking money.
At the end of the day, that's what the civil law requires. Yeah.
Charles, I want to bring you in here because you guys have always maintained she was framed, right? That's been your entire theory from the beginning here. But what evidence have you actually amassed over the past 4 years now? What evidence do you have to support that claim?
Well, I mean, I think that Alan, during the criminal cases, let the whole world see the evidence that she had. But I think, first and foremost, you look at the injuries that John O'Keefe suffered, and that, to me, is the key. Those were injuries from the back of his head. He died from injuries to the back of his head, some ridged lead surface.
But you've had that for a while now, right? That's not new.
But the question was what evidence is, and you start there. And when you start there and you realize that the medical examiner, for example, testified at the criminal trial that these injuries that he had were inconsistent with a car strike. So you start there, and then you say, what else could have happened? And then you look at the house. And then you look at the people that were in the house. And there are ridged surfaces in the house. There are relationships that John O'Keefe had with people in that house that were difficult relationships. And there's a lot of evidence that we've uncovered and that we're going to still uncover in this civil case.
Karen, let me come back to you for a moment here, because since the two trials, like what has life been like for you? I know you lost your house, you lost your car. Are you working right now?
No, I'm not working. I still don't have my license, and I'm back working on the case. And, we've brought in civil lawyers, but this case is so comprehensive that we need all hands on deck. I mean, I'm working on the case every day, and I don't know that I really ever took time off, and I don't know that I felt like I wanted to take time off. I want this to be over, but it's not done yet.
Our thanks to our friends at Today for that interview. Reed also told Laura and Craig that the reason she is pursuing legal action against these law enforcement agencies is for her late boyfriend, John O'Keefe. She claims he is a victim of their corruption, and this is her way to be a voice for him. Coming up, we are now less than a month away from the 250th anniversary of America's independence. When we come back, a new time capsule is now looking to preserve a snapshot of history. We'll tell you what will be in it and when that time capsule will be opened. You're watching Morning News Now. Now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with an order to remove President Trump's name from the Kennedy Center in D.C. NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba joins us with that and other headlines from Washington. Hey, Monica.
Hey, Savannah. Good morning. Yeah, let's start with that big change for the Kennedy Center. Lawyers for the Performing Arts Center told staff in an email that any references to the Trump Kennedy Center need to be removed now after a federal judge ruled last week that the president went too far in attaching his name to the building in those big gold letters, which will have to come down physically by next week in order to comply with that directive. And the president has railed against the order, but ultimately conceded that he will hand control of the Kennedy Center back to Congress eventually. And speaking of renovations, there's news about the president's ballroom and its donors, a watchdog group finding that more than half of the publicly identified donors to the project have won new or expanded federal contracts worth more than $50 billion during the past 6 months, according to the Washington Post. And 14 of the 27 known corporate donors have seen their government business grow, while 16 of the 27 donors are currently facing federal enforcement actions by the Trump administration, including major antitrust reviews. And there have also been instances in which cases against donor companies have been scaled back or dropped altogether, the report found. And we should note that Comcast, NBC's parent company, is among the list of donors, and we have reached out to them for comment. And finally, the president raised a lot of eyebrows when he announced Bill Pulte, a housing chief with no national security or intelligence background, would become the acting director of national intelligence. But the president clarified yesterday that Pulte would not be nominated to be the permanent director, a position that would require Senate confirmation. But it's important to note and point out here that in the acting capacity, Pulte can be in that role for more than 200 days, which would be well past the midterms. And part of his mandate, according to Trump advisor Steve Bannon, will be to focus on foreign threats to U.S. elections. And that's a look at what is making headlines here in Washington today. Savannah.
All right, Monica, thank you so much. Well, we are just 2 weeks away from the opening of former President Barack Obama's new presidential center and library. It's happening on Juneteenth. Well, the new campus was constructed on the south side of Chicago, despite some pushback from the community. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster got a firsthand look inside.
The granite tower is polarizing and stands out on Chicago's south side.
Welcome to the Obama Presidential Center. You don't know how long I waited to be able to say that.
But Obama Foundation CEO Valerie Jarrett calls the newly unveiled Obama Presidential Center her baby.
When you see this design, what goes through your head?
Well, you know, it's intended to be four hands together.
Inside is the museum that reflects on the Obama era, opening with a focus on the movements that made it possible, artifacts from the historic campaign, and a copy of the letter President Bush left inside the Resolute desk on Inauguration Day.
There's this full-scale replica of the Oval Office under President Obama, one of the more popular exhibits in this space, as is this exhibit highlighting First Lady Michelle Obama's dresses.
I considered every choice. The designer.
How involved was President Obama in choosing every detail here?
Very, very. They wanted this to be a place where art is front and central.
This is the ticketed area of the Obama Presidential Center. 4 floors of museum exhibits like this, but it sits on a 19.3-acre campus that is otherwise free and accessible to the public.
A 5,000-square-foot branch of the city's public library system. On its roof,
our vegetable and fruit garden, picnic tables, barbecue grills, a sledding hill, which in the winter will be magnificent, a playground, and then our athletic center.
Presidential libraries are often considered the head of state's last chance to cement their legacy. You can listen to the character that was Lyndon B. Johnson in phone recordings at his. Ronald Reagan's has the Air Force One he flew on and parts of the torn-down Berlin Wall. Now, Obama's library, the culmination of an $850 million project, more than double initial projections. The most expensive presidential center to date, all privately funded with donations, including from NBC's parent company, Comcast. There were also years of delays and millions more spent on public infrastructure around the center, along with passionate opposition from groups concerned it would price out low-income neighbors.
Why did you oppose this project? Wrong location.
University of Chicago professor W.J.T. Mitchell was named in one of the lawsuits, unsuccessfully appealed to the Supreme Court to protect the public park the center partially replaced.
Taking almost 20 acres, the Obamas took a huge chunk. We could have had all this, and it could have been done on private land.
Jarrett says those conversations and fights improved the design.
We have 3.7 additional acres of parkland once the campus is complete, because we tore up a major road.
The structure itself also hotly debated, with critics comparing the near windowless building to a, quote, Klingon prison.
It's widely regarded as ugly and domineering. That's too bad. I hope the rest of it and the museum inside will be an inspiration.
But looming over what's inside is the sitting president, who has rolled back many of the achievements the center celebrates. President Trump not invited to the official dedication, historically a reunion of the President's Club.
Why isn't President Trump invited?
Well, this is really an opportunity for those who've been supportive of President Obama and our efforts to thank them. We have said that if President Trump would like to come and take a tour, we'd love to show him this campus.
A campus and museum that they expect will be visited by millions for years to come. Shaquille Brewster, NBC News, Chicago.
All right, our thanks to Shaquille for that report. Well, here's a big question. If you had to select objects to show future generations what life was like in 2026, what would you choose? Well, that is the challenge for planners behind America 250. They are filling a massive time capsule with objects to give a snapshot of life in America, and it won't be open for another 250 years. In 200...
We're thinking 250 years, 2020.
Right?
You jinxed me.
2276. That's the year. Emily's here to tell us she got an inside look at the lab that's bringing this capsule to life, and you even got to put something inside.
Yes, it was a very cool special opportunity. Experts say something like this has never been successfully done before in America. Think about the challenges in burying a time capsule. You're up against water seeping in, rodents, even tree roots. But that didn't deter a team of engineers from building a 1-ton vessel to capture the essence of America from sea to shining sea.
Designing, measuring, and welding.
This project is truly unique.
A team at the National Institute of Standards and Technology, one of the nation's oldest physical science labs, is building something to stand the test of time. A time capsule marking America's 250th birthday. Once completed, engineer Mike Barilla says the vessel, weighing a ton, will be buried 10 to 15 feet underground outside Independence Hall in Philadelphia on July 4th. The Institute leaning on its experience preserving the Bill of Rights, Constitution, and Declaration of Independence.
You know how to preserve really important things.
And I would say, in addition to really important things, really unique things.
So when you are burying something for hundreds of years, what are some of the challenges in that?
The #1 killer of time capsules is water. And so every part of this time capsule design has taken water into consideration.
What do we see? It's what is believed to have turned most of this time capsule, recently unearthed at West Point after 200 years, to silt.
The box didn't quite meet expectations.
Helping keep water, rodents, and tree roots out this time around will be a lot of layers. On top of the granite platform and pedestal is a bell jar and air bubble, protecting the capsule, holding document and artifact boxes. Project manager Tom Medema says what goes in those boxes also requires a meticulous process.
The Library of Congress needs to test the material to make sure that it's durable enough to not just survive itself, but not to negatively impact other things in the capsule.
Every state and U.S. territory will contribute items ranging from challenge coins to a piece of the Wright flyer to hand-beaded art from Montana.
So they chose a native Crow artist to do this beadwork.
There will be a crystal from the New Year's Eve ball drop and letters from every living president, along with art from students across the country.
So this is my painting.
Anna Wang painted this as a 4th grader in Maryland.
The theme was, what does America mean to you? And when I thought of the theme, I thought about how America has freedom. So I painted the Statue of Liberty that represents that.
We even got the opportunity to add a memento ourselves, courtesy of the International Olympic Committee and Team USA.
A gold medal from the Winter Olympics.
I have not ever had the privilege of touching, holding.
How cool is that?
Yeah, to gift a gold medal to the people of the future. Yeah.
This is part of the fabric of our country, of the world.
Special part of this year.
And in honor of the longtime tradition of pin trading,
here's one of my favorites. The men's and women's ice hockey teams won during the Olympics, and then the sled hockey team brought home gold in the Paralympics.
All part of a message in a bottle for our great ×8 grandchildren to uncover.
I think a lot of people would describe today's times as divisive or strained. What do you hope the time capsule does for people today?
I think that it's an incredible example of how this country can come together in a moment that is celebratory for many, commemorative for many, and fraught for many, but still believe in those foundational ideals.
And before it's buried 10 feet underground, visitors will have the chance to see the completed capsule holding more than 200 items in Philadelphia. It will be paired with a new sculpture based on Benjamin Franklin's famed Join or Die cartoon, as you see there. But wow, it was so cool to see the behind the scenes of it all, because it really underscores how much of a scientific feat it is. Like, remember time capsules growing up as kids? Like, you put them underground for a year or a couple of years, and then it's like soggy and destroyed when you dig it up. So this is really something to marvel at for 250 years.
Yeah, okay, we've got it now. We're going to open it in 2276.
2276.
It's just hard to, like, say 22 as the beginning of a year. Try it at home. You'll see what I'm saying. Very cool. And how awesome that we got a gold medal in there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks. Coming up, the May jobs report has just been released. When we come back, our friend, Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver is standing by to break down the newest numbers from the Labor Department. Stay with us. We're back with a fresh read on the nation's job market. New numbers out just this morning. It shows the U.S. economy added a surprising 172,000 jobs in May. That's a lot higher than expected. And the unemployment rate held steady, though, at 4.3%. It's the third month in a row of job growth after a shaky start to the year. Economists say, though, the jobs picture could remain uneven in the months ahead. We're going to bring in Caleb Silver, Investopedia's editor-in-chief and chief business editor of People, and, of course, our friend to help us understand what all these numbers mean. Caleb, always great to have you with us, especially on a Friday. All right, just first, what do you think of these figures? What's your reaction?
This is a blowout report. Not only that, we had April numbers and March numbers revised higher. So you're looking at a two-month average now of about 150,000 job gains at a time when we were concerned that higher inflation, rising prices was going to cause employers to pull back on hiring. Now, we've seen some layoffs in sectors like tech especially, but when you look at the sectors that are growing, this is a summertime hire. Leisure and hospitality really big there, but also more gains in healthcare and social assistance. And that unemployment rate holding steady at 4.3%. Pretty good sign for the labor market, given the fact that everybody's worried and consumers are super dour about the economy. Employers are still adding employees to their rosters.
All right, and where are we seeing job loss?
The job losses are more like no job gains in places like transportation and warehousing. The transformation of the economy is still taking some time for those sectors to add on some workers. But you're looking at summertime hiring here. Grab an apron, right? Get ready to be a bar back. This is all leisure hospitality, 70,000 jobs there, 48,000 of those in restaurants and bars. And again, healthcare holding its own with 35,000 job gains.
What does this tell you about the direction of the economy?
It was going to be a slow hire, slow fire environment, but the fact that you see employers adding workers ahead of summertime or right as we get into summertime shows that there's probably not going to be a lot of pullback in spending unless these high oil prices and gas prices are sustained. And that's been the concern. We've heard from Dollar General, Walmart, and others that consumers are pulling back. We're spending less, but we're not going to stop spending on leisure and hospitality this summer, it looks like so far. And these job gains, again, with the revisions higher, shows that the labor market is in a really strong place right now. I wouldn't be out there quitting my job and looking for another one necessarily, but the fact that there are companies that are still willing to bring on this many workers, good sign for the American economy.
How do you think the Fed views this report?
They feel it, looking at it and saying, we don't have to do anything right now. The next Fed meeting my friend is in, 12 days, 5 hours, and 12 minutes. I'm not counting, you're counting. No change there. No change at the next meeting expected, or even the next meeting. You look out into September, and you finally see potential for an increase in interest rates, and that is because we might see higher oil prices if this war in Iran drags on.
Caleb Silver, thank you as always. Coming up today, it's finally Friday. We've got everything that you just can't miss this weekend. Up next, we're going to run through the newest releases in streaming and theaters. Also, a new treat for Taylor Swift fans. That's coming up right after this. This hour, it is Friday, which means it's time for our weekly Can't Miss list. It's a look at all the movies, shows, and music that you need to see and you need to hear this weekend. Joining me this week is entertainment reporter Sloan Glass. She's also the host of the podcast American Homicide. Sloan, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us. Some good stuff, including one that I'm super interested in, and I didn't know that this was coming. It's called Power Ballad, Paul Rudd and Nick Jonas. Tell us about this one.
A musical movie, which I have to say is my favorite.
Okay,
I love storytelling through song. It's how I like character development. And this is Paul Rudd. He plays a down-on-his-luck wedding singer who steals a song from Nick Jonas, who plays a member of a boy band. Now, this was directed by John Carney, who directed Once. He made that movie with a budget of $160,000 over 3 weeks. So I imagine with a big box office budget, this is going to be a lot of fun. And
Right.
I'm really excited to see it.
I'm excited to see Nick Jonas like really acting again.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I feel like we haven't had that in a minute. Okay, next up, Masters of the Universe. This is one that has a lot of fans excited, I think.
The He-Man fans are
Yep.
ready to go back to Castle Grayskull. This is what they've been waiting for. They say that it is better than the original.
Wow.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's really campy. It's nostalgic. It's everything that He-Man fans are looking for. There's a great cameo coming up that I won't spoil, but you can imagine what it is.
Okay.
And Savannah, a great fun fact that I learned, He-Man in its heyday outsold Barbie at Mattel.
I know. You know, Joe, who's not here today, but he has said that before because he like votes for toys in this Toy Hall of Fame thing, and he's like always talking about He-Man.
I didn't know you could vote for toys.
I know. Yeah. Well, trust me. If Joe was here, he would tell you all about it. Okay, next up, Scary Movie. Yet another installment. It's its 6th, in fact, but it's been 13 years, I think, since the last one.
And 26 since the original. It's yet another installment, like you said, but this is the first time that the Wayans brothers have been back to the franchise since the second movie. There was a creative dispute with Miramax, so now they are back. It's the original cast of 4. We have Anna Faris returning to the screen, Regina Hall. A lot of fun if you're a fan of scary movies. And I feel like scary movies and comedy have found this really beautiful merging of the genres. And it's a great time. I think that fans will go into it knowing what they're going to get.
I also think, like, since it's been 13 years since then, and now obviously there's so much social media, like, there's a lot that fans have grabbed onto that could be parodied here.
So much, and nothing's off the table.
Yeah, which is great. That good, like you said, that they kind of like know how to make fun of themselves. Okay, there's also a lot if you're staying in, if you want to stream, if you want to watch at home. Let's start with Office Romance. I've been seeing a lot of promo for this one. J-Lo's back.
I love that you said staying in because this is the quintessential Netflix, on your couch, relax, have a great Friday night. It's a rom-com that Brett Goldstein, who we know and love from Ted Lasso,
right.
He co-wrote this, and he wrote it for J-Lo with her in mind.
Really?
Yes. She plays the CEO of an airlines company who falls in love with one of her employees. And I have noticed that in every J-Lo movie, her occupation is front and center, right?
Oh, so true.
She is planning a wedding. She's cleaning hotel rooms in Manhattan. In this, she's the CEO of an airlines.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, he wrote this with her in mind?
He wanted to make a great rom-com, and he wanted to star with her.
Because now there have been rumors that they're dating.
I know, and she has put those to bed.
Well, she kind of did. I saw that on the Today Show. I felt like it was kind of a non-answer.
Give it one more week after this comes out and the press sizzles down.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking if somebody told me I wrote a rom-com for you, like maybe I'd date him.
Oh my God,
You
I'm
know
glad
what
you're
I mean?
thinking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, interesting. Okay, another one, Cape Fear. This is on Apple TV.
I'm the most excited for Cape Fear.
Okay.
This is a 10-part miniseries, 2 episodes coming out today based off of the movie from the 90s. Amy Adams is riveting in this. Javier Bardem, terrifying. This is something I'm going to watch with the lights on. And if you are a fan,
so it's scary.
it is terrifying. Yes. And from the movie, right, that we all know and love, was originally going to be produced by Spielberg. But he thought it was a little too violent for him. So he decided to offer it to his friend, Martin Scorsese, in exchange for a project that Scorsese had just kind of sidelined, and that was Schindler's List.
Oh, my goodness.
The 2 traded. Schindler's List got Spielberg his first Oscar for directing, and Cape Fear became Scorsese's first film to surpass 100 million at the box office.
Oh my goodness! Wow, I love that history. Thank you for that. Okay, finally, you don't have to tell me this, but Taylor Swift, she's out with a new song. This was like so interesting because it's a song, not to steal all the information you're about to tell us, but for the upcoming Toy Story 5. For like the last month, all of us Swifties have been like, what? Why is there all this weird overlap going on with Taylor Swift and Toy Story?
TS.
Exactly.
I'm right there with you. I'm a Swiftie, and have you listened?
Yes.
It's so good.
It's so good, and like back to her roots.
Country, she's back with Jack Antonoff. It reminds me of Cardigan. So if you're a Swiftie and you like Cardigan,
that's
the country fun. It's the light, happy version of Cardigan, and it's perfect for Toy Story. And Taylor Swift wrote it right after she got a preview of the film.
I know, which I'm like so curious about how that went down. They're like, would you do a song? And then she's like, well, let me see it. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what happened.
She always makes great music for movies.
Yeah, she does. And she actually has done more than you'd think about. And it was interesting, too. We saw Bob Iger post a picture with her, like, big day, got the deal done. So funny. Sloan, thank you. Great to see you. Good to have you. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stay with us, though. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.